Hey there, everyone, and welcome to the Gosh Daniel podcast. So with this episode, we're trying something a little bit new, mainly because, well, we want to find new ways to get more episodes out, and this was one of the ways by starting a new kind of bi-weekly...
Like a bi-weekly podcast style, I guess.
Yeah.
So every week we'll still have our normal Gosh Daniel episodes, unless something horrible happens, like seems to happen quite often lately, where we don't put it out until late, or we don't put it out at all, stuff like that. But yeah, we'll try to have a normal episode every week, and then a bi-weekly episode on top of that. Not really sure about the release date, but we'll try to be consistent with it. Yeah, these are called, these will be book club episodes that should be a little bit shorter, like 20 to 40 minutes, but we're going to number them like normal. We're hoping to get close to 50 episodes by the end of the year, so.
Yeah, that's our goal. And, so with book club, I guess, I just wanted to find a reason to, read books and talk about them on the podcast.
Yeah, me too.
And so I came to Bob about it, and yay, we came out with this, I guess. So
yeah, it'll be
I'm
cool.
Excited.
And it'll be something more evergreen on our channel, I think. So a lot of what we talk about is news, but this doesn't really have to be. This is talking about one book that sort of, while not remaining popular, sort of will always be readable and not.
A book
surpassed
that will always be readable.
But I mean, it won't. Books remain readable. They don't get surpassed by new information unless you think of something like the EU, which got trashed.
That's true.
But you can still talk about those books,
Yeah, that's true.
And people can still read them, and they're still in print. So.
Yeah. So I bet everyone's dying to wonder. Well, they probably just read the title.
Yeah.
What book?
Everybody is dying to start wondering.
Yeah.
About what we're going to talk about. They aren't even at the point of wondering. But they're dying to start wondering.
Exactly.
I like your phrasing.
So we'll let them wonder.
Yeah, we'll let you guys wonder. We'll just start talking about the book without ever mentioning the names of any characters or the title of the book.
So, all right, it was good.
So there was a thing, and all the characters were trying to make it, and it was cool, I think.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. All right, fine. Okay, so I just finished Catalyst. And so that's the prequel book to Rogue One.
More specifically, Star Wars Catalyst, a Rogue One novel by James Luceno.
Okay, we get it. You are great with titles, apparently.
Yeah, we need to say the title. We need to say the author.
By James
I think
Luceno.
Publication date, I think we could say as well. That was. When was that released? Was it?
It was
September or October 2017. I mean 2016.
Yeah. 2016, yeah.
Yeah. So I had already read it right before Rogue One, and I'm not sure if we've talked about that before. But
we probably have, because I've mentioned me wanting to read it, and talking about how you have read it, so...
Yeah, right. So, it makes the movie better, but yeah.
We can conclude that from the beginning. So I read it, in case you were wondering, and it was awesome, and so it was worth talking about it for the first episode of Book Club. And I guess we won't exactly have a format. We'll just kind of spat things that we thought, when reading it. And so
a normal book club. Well, I thought Jamie's struggle here was just really, it was amazingly written. The prose is excellent. And yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that, basically.
Yeah, okay, I'll talk about the actual book. Well, I tried to reread it today, in time.
Re-listen, let's be honest.
What that means is that I had it on Audible, and I tried to listen through the whole thing at triple speed, in time for us recording. And while I did not make it, I got over halfway, which I think is pretty impressive.
Dude,
sort of.
Yeah, you should be proud of that.
I'm very proud about how dedicated I was to listening to something at triple speed. Yeah. So I can really mainly just talk about the beginning of the book, the first half of it, because that's the part I remember more. It's really well written, but it suffers from what I think all of the other EU books that I've read so far have suffered from, which is it's a lack of an actual story. Wow. If that makes sense. they all seem like history books to me, in that they document one character or a few characters going through like a long period of time, usually trying to show us more about like the timeline of Star Wars, I guess, trying to like create a backbone for the new books.
Yeah, it's true.
That the EU didn't really bother to have, and I think that made it more strong. That the timeline was just a bunch of different series that all fit into a timeline. It wasn't, this book shows these characters going through the same events that this character is going through, and almost all of the books have been like the end of the Clone Wars up until episode 4, and that's been almost all of the books that there are that I've read. Mm-hmm. And I guess with the exception of what's it called, Aftermath, but that one was just a bad book. But sorry, I'll finish the thought. But
okay, sorry, yeah, you finish.
No, I was sorry. I just think that they should stop writing books like this. Even though they are interesting and fun to read, they're a lot more boring, and they sort of cover over the same stuff that all the other ones cover.
Yeah.
They need to branch out, I guess.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is they've been writing a lot of books that are more just filling the gaps instead of just telling continual stories that are... Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So not just like this is a book about Luke, and he is, trying to catch this person, or I don't know, that's a really lame example. But, something like that. Or like how the Thrawn trilogy was, where they're trying to basically further the New Republic, and the main struggle is that, Thrawn is also sort of launching an offensive to destroy the New Republic and reinstate the Empire. And so there's a series of books in which they're dealing with that, and they have some side plots and whatever, but they're going towards one common goal within the span of like maybe a year. That's the whole series.
Yeah.
Versus something like Catalyst or Thrawn, which are really good books. I like them, but what they do is they start at an early point in the character's life, or pick up at a point in the character's life that's before you know them, and they basically take them all the way up until the point in which you see them in like movies or TV shows. They're always supporting material.
It's true.
They're never
good point.
important enough to actually be its own story. I think that's part of just the story groups thing, is that they're like, we want to save all the big important stories for the movies. And I think that's sort of a bad decision, because sometimes it's fun to read a book where a story happens, not just here's some background information on a character from a movie. Yeah.
And I mean, although they do that, it still did make the movie better, so they did do what they were trying to do.
It improved the movie. It did exactly what it was trying to do. It was well written. The characters were well developed. It's just that this type of book, I think, is getting stale in this universe.
It's true.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
But
cool. Well, I mean, that's definitely the main flaw to it. What are some of the stuff that you like? Do you remember some of the stuff that you really enjoyed, or?
Oh, I guess I wasn't trying to insult this book, because that's also James Luceno's writing style, I think, in general.
Yeah.
When he was writing for the EU, he wrote Plagueis, which was also this sort of long, continuous history of a character kind of prose. I don't know why I said prose there, but yeah.
It's stuck in your brain.
It's stuck in my head now. So yeah, the prose was excellent. I don't know. That's how he writes his books. So it's not something against this book. It's just I wish, as a whole, these series of books would branch out, because I think they're trying to make it so people who don't read the books don't feel left out. But I think it would be cooler to instead be like, here's a series of things that happen that, while the movies don't have to exactly reference, it's an interesting story that is good in its format, instead of supporting another format. But
yeah.
That said, I really do like this book. I think Lyra is probably my favorite character in the book. It's between Lyra and Krennic, but I think Lyra is probably the most accurately represented in the movie.
Really?
Because, well, I think Krennic is really cool.
Oh yeah, Krennic is the best.
Throughout the entire book, but in the movie, he's only like he was in the book in the first few scenes. And then all of a sudden he's like a completely different person. And you would never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't
seen... character from the book.
I haven't seen the movie after reading the book, so I probably wouldn't know, but...
Oh, right, yeah. Well, yeah. If we're judging the book based off of the movie, then it's not exactly, it's not a great representation of the characters. But the characters in the book are better than in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think they're more interesting.
I like the role that Tarkin had in the book, and I got what you're saying, because a while ago I heard everyone, before Rogue One was coming out, they're like, they have to have Tarkin in this. Like, how are they not going to have him in Rogue One? And then, because after have the people who have already read the book, they were saying that, and so I was like, I wonder, I mean, he must play an important role in the book, I guess, for people to be saying that. And after reading it, I guess I could see where the people that were saying that were coming from. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think I actually liked Tarkin maybe better in the movie than in the book here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a faithful representation of Tarkin as a character. But, I mean, James Luceno's last book was Tarkin, so...
So, I mean, he's probably got him down.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect from a character who just... Yeah. Also, that's sort of a thing that I've been noticing with the EU books as well, is that most of their books are, the same sort of timeline book, but they're also just titled after a character. So they've had Tarkin, Thrawn, Ahsoka, Phasma just came out. I think are they coming out with one that's just called Leia, or is it Leia : something else?
I know, that's funny though. Like, watch, they're just gonna come out with a book, and like a book for every character in Star Wars, and it's just their name as the title.
It'll get really, really weird. Dr. Evazan. And just really boring.
Porg number 3.
Porg number 3. Tebow. Wicket.
Oh yay, Wicket.
I mean, it's weird, because if you look at the EU books, there aren't many of them that are just titled after a character's name. Actually, I can't think of one.
Yeah, that's true. They all have some deep, kind of poetic title.
Yeah, like Visions of the Future, Spectre of the Past, Heir to the Jedi.
Yeah, and then you have
Heir to the
Ahsoka.
Jedi is not really a... Yeah. Heir to the Empire, though.
Oh.
And
that always sounded good. Heir to the Empire.
It's cool. And then and then the canon book had Heir to the Jedi. Is this one that came out with? It was basically just Luke in between episode 4 and 5, from what I understand. And I've heard it's maybe the worst book that's been put in the canon
it's
so
so
far.
sad that they erased the expanded universe and then are making this other one that's just not good.
I think that I'm actually sort of on board for it, at least with the movies. I just wish that the direction that Star Wars Random House is going in would just be better. They've done perfect with the movies, I think. And they've had some really good synergistic stuff between books and movies, as this book shows, but I would appreciate if they put more work into making the books actually better.
Yeah. This is more of a expanded universe discussion.
Yeah, this is becoming EU v canon or something. And,
well, we might have to change the title of this.
I don't want to.
No,
Let's just talk more about Catalyst. Can you give me a rundown of the plot? Because there isn't really a plot.
Okay.
But things happen.
So basically, I don't know. these names. You're gonna be like, saying all these names and stuff, but I'm just gonna be blanking because I don't even know. Okay, so basically, it starts out where Lyra and her husband Galen are on this one planet. I think it starts with a Z or something, or V. Is it Vulcan or something like that?
It was Vault, I think.
Oh, Vulcan. I wonder where I got that from. Vault, yeah. And they're working for Zerpin Industries, and they're doing some energy research, I guess. And then all of a sudden, there's like something happens where there's this peace contract or something like that, where like the separatists ends up getting the reign of the planet or something like that. So
it starts in the Clone Wars, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's how the timeline works, I guess. And then they end up taking Galen away and Lyra, and they separate them. And at this time, Lyra is already pregnant with Jin, and then they stay in that prison separated in like different buildings for a while, I guess. Like maybe 6 months, I think it was, or something like that.
Oh, it had to be less than that.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, because I remember from reading it earlier that it was like maybe they got imprisoned like 2 months before Lyra had Jin.
Yeah. So
and obviously Galen and Jin are in Rogue One. I don't really think that needs to be explained, but just in case.
Yeah. And so they have Jin, and then like something happens, and then Galen ends up getting to see Jin, and then that's when he calls her Stardust for the first time, I guess. And so that's a moment. And then
yeah, that was really cool when I saw that in the movie, because I had read the book, and he calls her Stardust throughout it, and he calls her that, and everybody's like, that's so freaking lame. I'm like, did you bother? I mean, it shouldn't stand just because it was good in the book, but like it makes it matter more. It makes you care.
Yeah, I was wondering like how it would be to read this first, because when I was reading it, I kept on thinking, oh, the movie came out, then this book came out. But no, the book came out first, and so people who read the book just get this extra like thing, like knowledge from it, than the people who only watch the movie and appreciate it way more, which I liked. And so yeah, that must have been really cool for you to like hear Stardust and be like, hey, they actually used it. That was actually relevant in the movie.
Yes.
Even though they didn't it's not cool when in books and movies they like try to make it sound like it's not going to be relevant, but they say it and it's going to be relevant. But it's even better when they say something that's actually kind of important and you don't think it's going to be important, but it ends up being important. So
yeah, and then like when they're going through near the end of the Rogue One in the third act, it was cool because like they're going through all these different projects, right? Trying to find the Death Star plans, and they go through all the different names of the other projects that they're talking about in Catalyst.
Really?
Yeah, like you see all of those names there.
I didn't even.
I don't even remember, but like Project Celestial Power was one of them.
Yeah, wow, that's
cool stuff like that. So I guess we should probably explain more what happened in the plot. So eventually Lyra has the baby. They get saved by the Republic to some extent. But Krennic is part of the Republic, and he basically tries to get Galen to work with the Republic to help them with all this military stuff, sort of.
Yeah.
Galen refuses because he's a pacifist or whatever. Then he almost goes into debt, and they're really poor for a while. They can't really afford to eat. And Krennic, basically this book is Krennic tries to get Galen to work on military stuff. Galen refuses, and then Krennic basically lets them lets everything goes downhill. I can't even talk. But then Krennic lets everything go downhill for the Ursos until he swoops in and saves them, and then tries to get them to work on the military stuff, and then lets everything sink and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He just manipulates Galen the whole time. So.
Yeah, and then it gets to a point where he's just using the research that Galen's doing, thinking that he's doing it for some energy, efficiency project or whatever, and using that and trying to change it a little bit so that it, to turn it into a weapon, I guess, without Galen knowing.
And then Galen finds out and basically runs away.
Yeah, and that's basically the plot. And then like it ends where Jin is like a toddler, and I kind of like that last. I think it was like the last chapter, or the last part of it. It like the book was kind of talking about everything from Jin's perspective.
I don't remember that.
It was like, mommy. Then mommy said and daddy said and then they hugged me or something like that, or Jin or whatever. But it was like from her perspective, which was weird, and it was like kind of a shift from the parent story to then hers. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So. And then it ends where they're like, we're going to this planet and it's green, and the Empire hopefully won't find you guys there. Oh yeah, and the book goes, when, the Republic and the Separatists, their fight ends, and then the Empire is born, and then, yeah, that happens during the whole story, so, yeah.
Yeah. It's just well done.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. And I liked it. And I mean... It was a great addition to make you appreciate Rogue One more, which is always good. So,
yeah,
I think that's everything. I don't know what else we have to say about Catalyst. So, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
It's so distant in my memory that I
It was a while ago when you read it.
Oh, but like you see some of the scenes that are actually like sort of in the book, in the movie, in Jin's flashbacks.
Yeah?
Like you see her as a little kid getting tucked in by Galen, and then you see Krennic through the door, and you can tell they're on Coruscant.
That's cool.
In the movie. And it's, because like Krennic will come over and talk to them, but I also liked the sort of rivalry. I guess I want to talk about that a little bit. There was a bit of a rivalry. They just sort of hated each other. I guess Lyra and Krennic.
That was the best.
Galen was like sort of friends with Krennic, because they sort of went to school together. Yeah, he wasn't very...
it wasn't like a true friendship. It was like a Krennic kind of knows his way, how to handle people, and then Galen didn't, and he just kind of, tags along with Krennic, I guess.
Yeah, so. He's like, Krennic seems like he's being nice, I think.
Yeah.
And Lyra's a bit more...
Aware, I guess.
Aware of that, yeah. And she doesn't like Krennic. Krennic keeps trying to send her off doing other things. And stuff like that. And then, then there's the cool thing is that that doesn't really end until in the movie when Krennic has her killed,
Yeah. That must have been a big scene for you, having read the book.
It was a bit intense. It was sad.
Yeah, because...
But I knew she would have to die because you don't see her in any of the other trailers, really, other than that scene.
Yeah.
So.
And not a lot... People who were watching it that hadn't read the book probably didn't really, weren't, that sad, but I bet people who had read the book were sad.
Yeah, I felt like I knew those characters, and then you just see it, yeah. But it was so awesome. Krennic was so great in those first few scenes.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah.
We
went about 25 minutes. That's good.
Cool. Look at us winning.
So, yeah.
So this is all, right, for this first episode of Book Club.
That's, yeah. Maybe we should have more structure.
Yeah. This was fun. We did kind of trail off into different... But it all stayed mainly on Star Wars and the EU, so...
Yeah, that's not hard for me to do.
Oh, no, that's definitely not hard for you to do. I guess, alright, is that it? Thank you for listening if you made it this far. And it's weird because it's so short, and I kind of want to just keep on talking for longer, but...
Well, if you have something else to say.
I like pancakes, so...
Oh, okay. Me too, yeah. Well, I didn't eat dinner, Daniel.
You didn't eat dinner?
So I would really appreciate if you were done talking so we could end the podcast so I could go eat dinner.
Okay, I'll stop being so selfish then.
Yeah, you're being so selfish.
Uh-huh.
Unbelievable. No, it's all good. Yeah,
You'll
so
forgive me someday.
I will, maybe, hopefully, for your sake. We'll try to make them more structured.
Yeah.
You can actually tweet us book suggestions, and if they're interesting,
yeah.
I won't make any promises, but if they're interesting and we can acquire them easily, then we will read them.
You should make us read it.
Please, no. I don't know how we could do that in 2 weeks anyways.
That'd be insane.
It'd be crazy.
Die.
Oh my gosh.
But if you did make us read it, then we'd probably have to have some prep. But speaking of it, I'm going to be doing a review of it, but I'm going to put it on YouTube only. So I don't know when this will go out, so it might already be out, the review, or it might not, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm. And you know, the interesting thing about it is that how would you actually translate that in romantic languages?
What?
Right? Is there a, like, Latin and stuff?
Oh.
Is there a way that you would be able to translate it? Because that seems like it would be part of another word, right?
But they do it, I think they do it more as like a name. So you know how they do names? So I think they do it as a name and not as a that's something that's supposed to be a part of a sentence. So or they translate what kind of like sounds like, I don't know, that's weird. Yeah, that's hard. Never mind. Why do you have to bring Latin into this?
I'm sorry. I bet they just call it like clown in Spanish. But
Clown.
but like a neuter version of the word clown.
Yeah.
I bet that's how they would do it.
Well, for those of you who take Spanish, let us know. Because, you know, people who take Spanish are going to be listening, so.
Most definitely. Everybody takes Spanish nowadays.
We have a huge Mexican fan base, actually, so.
Hey. That's very true.
Alright, well, thanks again for listening, and we also want to make you go to Twitter at @TheGoshDanielPod and tweet us. And if you're a true fan, you'll tweet us.
It's true. We actually got a tweet today.
We did?
From Hunt the Bunt Gunter.
Oh, Hunt the Bunt Gunther, you're the best.
He asked if we're going to make an It review. Or actually, he asked if we're going to see it.
Ooh, now I have to reply.
And I did reply. I said that you saw it.
Okay, cool.
That we might do a podcast review, but maybe not. And that we're putting in a review out on YouTube.
Coolio.
For 10 minutes. Yep.
Coolio. Alright, well then that's cool. And speaking of Hunt the Bunt Gunther, thank you for being a Patreon.
Along with, what does she want to be called now?
It's hard.
Or she, he.
Jeez, you can't do gender reveal.
That's true. I just don't know.
Yeah.
What was it? What was her name? His name, maybe. Noreen Smith, right. Cool.
Okay, cool. Noreen, well, thank you for also being a Patreon.
Oh, yes, and then he who wishes to not be named as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it.
And there's nothing else, but we're still saying and.
Oh, yeah, well, we revamped the Patreon thing. So,
we did.
If you hated how we did it before,
you're gonna
give it another look.
More.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, we are doing these bi-weekly podcasts on the channel, but on top of that, the week that we aren't doing this bi-weekly podcast, we have another bi-weekly podcast that we are doing over on Patreon. You can get a bi-weekly episode on Patreon. That just means you get 2 episodes a week if you listen to all of our episodes.
Wow.
We're coming out with 2 episodes a week, guys.
Folks, that's a guaranteed 2 episode a week. Okay, that's a great deal.
Guaranteed.
And I said that weird, but that's a great deal, okay?
Yeah.
And
for $10 a month.
For only 12 easy payments of $10 a month.
So you're giving us $10 a month for 8 podcasts a month. Sometimes more.
Whoa.
Sometimes even 10 if there's like a 5-week month.
Whoa.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's great, actually. And we hope that you have a great day or night or morning.
Oh, yeah. We really do.
Okay, goodbye.
Good night.
And good
All
morning.
you people. And good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And good evening.
Good fortnight. Good. Great tomorrow.
Good Hallows Eve.
Depressing past.
Oh. Lights.
But a bright future.
Deadlights. Deadlights. Wah.